Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the Urbana Community Development Commission, and this is our regular meeting for October. We will start with our agenda, which begins with, well, first of all, meeting is now in order, and next we'll have roll call.
Fred Cobb,
Here.
Janice Bankston, Brian Cunningham, Chris Diana,
Here.
Ann Hines Silvis,
Here.
Lauren Carplus, Jerry Moreland,
Here.
Lisa Beth Searing.
Here.
We
Thank
have
you.
a quorum, I think.
Yes, yes, we have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes for our last meeting, which was July 28th, 2015. Let's take a minute and browse over those minutes, after which I'll entertain a motion for approval or corrections.
Right, we just started. Okay, I think we've had time to review the minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval or of the minutes or corrections.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve the minutes as written. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Are there any comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Okay, now, next on our agenda, petitions and communications. That applies to those in the audience, and we have no audience this evening, so we'll move on to, well, that refers to our written communications. Next is audience participation, which we have no audience. So we'll go to staff report.
Good evening. For you, we have a staff briefing, and I went over some of the highlights because farther in the agenda, we'll be going over all of what we've been doing for the last year. So for HUD activity, we received our monitoring review letter back from them, and we wrote a response and was accepted by HUD. So we are working with HUD and with the Home Consortium on a timeline for completion of issues that were raised by HUD. Hopefully things will be pretty much taken care of by the beginning of December. Also, our annual CAPER, or Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, was submitted the end of September, and HUD always reviews that, and then they send us a CAPER review response letter highlighting things that we may have missed or additional information that we need. And so we're waiting for HUD to send that letter. Major activities, basically for our transitional housing program, we had received Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago funds to rehab our 2 units, and those were completed. There were several clarifications that we had to send to the Federal Home Loan Bank, and those were completed, and we have dispersed of funds. So that's good, because that took a while to get those done. We are working with the Finance Department and the auditor for fiscal year 14-15 audit, so particularly with the home program. So this week and last week and earlier in the fall, we had to submit information to the auditor. And so we're working on that, and hopefully should have submit whatever we need to, I think, tomorrow by Thursday. So. And then you can see basically showing the some trainings that we've attended. We've had regular meetings of the Continuum of Care, an executive committee. Lately we've been meeting weekly because the NOFA, for the renewal of all the projects, including the supportive housing program, project is up for renewal. So we're meeting because that deadline is in November. So we're doing that. Also meeting with the Council of Service Providers for the Homeless, going to the Housing Authority Board meeting, Senior Task Force, Randy does that, and Community Reinvestment Group. In August, I attended the Midwest Community Development Institute in Moline, and it's a 3-year program, a week each year, and after that completion, you can become eligible to take an exam to become a professional community and economic developer. And so I took the exam, passed it, and so I am now a professional community and economic developer, and can put that title after my name. So.
We knew that already.
Yeah, but there was also a basic training that Matt attended. We also had HUD's annual All Grantee Conference, which was very, very good. They highlighted a lot of regulations and updates regarding all the grants. So it's from all over the region that attend. And then we had a special technical assistance meeting with our home HUD rep, Sarah Champy. So that was a busy week. We also had Matt attended a COC startup training to learn more about the supportive housing program. I attended the 2015 Regional Neighborhood Network Conference in Bowling Green, Kentucky as a delegate with the City of Champaign staff, because next fall we will be co-hosting with the City of Champaign for this conference. So it's a big deal. It's 300 to 500 participants come from all over the region, as far as Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, I think. I can't remember where all this from, but it's a pretty big group, and talking a lot about how to network with different communities, with neighborhoods, highlighting projects within the community. So we're excited that we will be co-hosting this network conference next year. And of course, Randy attended an 8-hour lead supervisor refresher training that's required. I believe it needs to be done every year, so he attends that. And that pretty much highlights an overview of activities and things that we've done. Like I said, we'll get more into all the different grants and programs and where we're at a little later in the agenda.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, any questions on staff report? If not, we'll move on to old business. Anyone have anything on old business? If not, we'll move on to new business. First, under new business is an update on the GMD grants and programs, namely Home Investment Partnership, the HOME program. Community Housing Development Organizations, the CHODOs. Would you like to get into that?
Sure. I'll just start out talking about the community housing development organizations. In the past, we've had 3. I don't recall if, with regard to Ecolab Construction, if you knew that their final house, 1302 Dublin, the lease purchase was completed, and so that house sold. It took a while, and they have decided to no longer be a CHODO, and they are more into the passive house and other types of housing versus being a CHODO. Homestead Corporation is partnering with Bryn Shore, the Housing Authority, and the city on the redevelopment of Kerr Avenue, which is now called Highland Green, and I'll talk more about that farther down the agenda. And then third is Habitat for Humanity, and they have a lot of things that they're doing regarding specifically community housing development organization projects. They have completed in Urbana, they have completed 4, 810 East Park, 1007 Berkeley, 1107 Hill, and 1208 and a half Dublin. So those have been completed, and I think they had dedications for those. They are in the process of completing 903 Eads, 1403 Eads, 1405 Eads, and 807 Romine. So that is 8 projects that will be completed for this year with funds. So that's exciting. In addition, they are also a partner with the Housing Authority of Champaign County for their Housing Choice Voucher Home Ownership Program. It used to be the Section 8 housing home ownership program, and the Housing Authority, as now they're a moving to work agency, they revamped that home ownership program, and so the Habitat is now a partner with them, and there are 4 homes in Urbana that were part of this program. 1208 and a half Dublin, 1205 Beslin, and then 301 and 303 Thompson. And I went to the dedications at 301 and 303, and those are very nice homes. They now have new designs that they have for their homes, and they look very nice. They have a range of architecture styles. They also have what they call their Fund for Humanity. I think it comes from the International Habitat for Humanity, and that also helped with 301 Thompson and 303 Thompson, as well as 714 East Park and 1205 Beslin. And then a couple other things, they are also partners with the city, with the Attorney General Fund. It's a grant that they received through the Illinois Attorney General, who was part of a larger settlement with the 5 major banks regarding their practices. So the Attorney General and the state received $70 million of that, and then they opened up applications and through the Attorney General, which was with Urbana and Champaign and U of I and Habitat, received about $2 million. And so so far they've targeted 5 homes in Urbana, 903 Eads, 1405 Eads, 1403 Eads, 807 Romine, and 1306 Dublin. And some of, I think, at least 1, maybe 2 of those may be rehabs, where they actually houses they went in and they completely rehabbed them, and so that's exciting. Then they have their own Brush with Kindness program, and they do small exterior projects, and they do that in a couple of Urbana at 1307 Beach and 1209 Dublin. They have provided home buyer and financial education to over 150 people in Champaign-Urbana, so that's exciting. And then The last grant or program that they are a partner with the city is the Blight Reduction Program, which is, the purpose of this program is to purchase, demolish, and green 15 dilapidated residential structures in a 3-year period. And this money came from the federal government to the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and we applied, and 15 communities in the state received money. And this is the one where we received $525,000. So, so Habitat and the city are working away at looking for housing. We have a list of 15 units in the city that we own. Some are, and they all need to be demolished, purchased, and so we have a tri-party agreement between the city, Habitat, and IDA, and the properties will be owned by Habitat for future construction of new affordable housing. Currently, we have 3 properties that are out for bid for demolition, and Habitat has signed contracts to purchase 1114 West Church, 1310 West Hill, and 5 Hill Court. And so, so that's exciting, that as we work through figuring out who's doing what, because they gave us a flow chart and then kind of said, okay, let's figure this out. So this is very exciting. It seems to fit really well with the home program and our CDBG, as well as the Attorney General. These all seem to work together. So that's with the Chodos as far as what we have been doing. For the Urbana Home Consortium members, which is the City of Champaign and Urbana and the county, the City of Champaign, they have several projects, large and small, that they're doing. They have an acquisition rehab and full home rehabilitation program. And with the acquisition rehab, they have completed 9 prior year and 2 current projects. And they closed 1 prior year of their full home rehab program. They also have a tenant-based rental assistance program that is run by the county, and that, along with the county and also Courage Connection and Community Elements, are subrecipients and also have tenant-based rent assistance. So all of them together served about 70 families or households over the last year. The big news is that Champaign has their Bristol Place redevelopment program, and in their caper, they talk about that they have acquisition contracts in place, that they have a demolition policy in place, and they're working on entering into contracts. They're working on relocating. They have a case management services that they set up with the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission. And they also have a temporary office space for the relocation and case management on site. And also they applied to HUD for what they call a Section 108 loan, which any entitlement can do, and it's basically asking HUD, you have this major development and you are using your, you can get up to 5 times the amount of your CDBG allocation, and the plan is that you will then have some kind of a redevelopment in which maybe you may get funding back that you can then pay that loan off. It's like a 20-year loan, low interest. So a lot of them do redevelopment with economic and mixed projects that way, but this was one of the first ones where they actually have done like a housing project using the Section 108 loan. In fact, at our the HUD All Grantee Conference that we had, Champaign did a presentation on this. So it was very interesting. And I point this out because it's possible that home funds will be their home funds will be put into this project at some point. That's as far as Champaign and the county. For Urbana, as far as the home program, we had a down payment assistance program, and we served 9. That is on hold until we determine what we need to do and how much funding that we have. So, but that was good. 9 families were served with our whole house rehabilitation program that Randy runs, which is available to targeted neighborhoods. We make available $25,000 to bring the structure into code compliance while preserving the housing stock. So $12,500 is a grant, and then the other $12,500 is a 5-year deferred loan. And the loan portion is payable to the city upon sale of title within that 5 years. After 5 years, it's forgivable. Currently, we have 4 applicants that have been approved, with 2 of the projects under contract, and 2 that are currently in the bidding stage. And also we have 2 additional applications that are pending verification, and as always, we still take additional applications for future projects. And then I listed under City of Urbana because it may be that we may put home funds into a couple of developments. The first one is Kerr Avenue Development Project, which is now called Highland Green. And Bryn Shore is the developer, along with, I believe the Housing Authority is involved as well. And they applied to IDA for low-income housing tax credits. There are 4% and 9%. The 9% are competitive, and we just received a press release on Tuesday from IDA that says 13 developments receive federal tax credits to boost affordable housing in Illinois, and Highland Green is one of those that received that, which is very exciting because they have been applying for at least the last 5 years trying to receive those credits. So it'll be a 33-unit development for working families, which will be built by Bryn Shore. The Housing Authority will be a partner, Homestead, and also the city. It'll be a mix of single-family and duplex units built on land donated by us. And there will also be a veterans portion component too, which we will receive, I think, vouchers through the Housing Authority because they have veterans housing vouchers. So that is very exciting for this construction. So we're looking forward to that. And then Urbana Townhomes, Aspen Court redevelopment is now called the Havens at Prairie Park. And that is Herman Kittle is the developer, along with the Housing Authority involved and the city. And currently, they are working on submitting their funding applications to various sources. So they're working to get their funding aligned. We provided a letter of support to them towards that funding. And they also are working on submitting a new site plan. What they originally had submitted was just a draft. So they're working to submit a more formal site plan. And also, Learman Neighborhood Action Committee, there was an assessment that was done by one of the planning interns that we had. And it was a pretty thorough assessment of going door to door and asking for information. And that recently got approved both by the City Council and by LNAC. And this will also help with funding applications as they're being submitted. So with the home program, those are all the things that we have done and are doing. At this point, if you have any questions before we move on to the Community Development Block Grant section.
Any questions?
There's a lot of information, just
Mhm.
to hear.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember, I can't remember what year it was, but you guys prepared a matrix that we used that listed the projects, the funding sources, and it was just an easy way for us to kind of keep track of everything. This is like way too much information for me just to listen and learn from it. I mean, I know it's familiar, but having something written in front of me would help me a lot.
Sure.
It's good to hear the update, and I mean, it's
Well, it
pretty
can
impressive,
certainly-
all that's been going on.
Well, I can also make sure, I can send this report to you as well, but I can also make sure to send a matrix with all the grants, particularly now that we have a few more, the Attorney General that we're working with in the blight reduction. But, yes, so I will make sure to do that.
A question, were there not a couple of properties acquired under home, like in late August, early September? I forgot to print it off, but I recall seeing something that had gone to city council, a recommendation to acquire some properties. They weren't ones that we had ever discussed in commission.
Okay. Honestly, I don't
I'll
recall,
have
but
to review that. I guess, kind of along the same lines of the previous comment, why those had stuck in my mind is that, as I had brought up at an earlier meeting this year, we keep having meetings canceled for no business, and then business that we would normally be reviewing gets done without the commission. Today, we are reviewing, and I've been on this commission a long time, this is the first time we've done a review without information in front of us. I just heard 20 addresses and umpteen programs and umpteen numbers. I haven't seen them before.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed them. So my question, and it's a friendly question, if we aren't voting in advance on things that we used to, and now we aren't really even reviewing what's going on, what is this commission supposed to be about? I do enjoy hearing the information, but if our only purpose is to gather here every 2 or 3 months and listen to information, I don't think that's what the commission is supposed to be.
Right. Well, I looked at previous agendas, and I saw about October, November, we did a yearly update. So
Yeah, but it was always on paper. There was
Okay.
always there was information to actually review and ask questions about, as opposed to kind of, for lack of a better term, sort of an information dump that I retained
Okay.
maybe 5% of what you said in the last 15 minutes, and I don't know that anybody else on the commission would do any more than that. So it's kind of hard to review or ask intelligent questions about something that you aren't looking at, is my point, I guess.
Okay. Well, I apologize that I did not send this outline out. So I can certainly do that and then answer through email any questions that you have. Some of these addresses were ones that we transferred a while ago, and there just wasn't any activity on them. Like Thompson, I know, was at least within the last year and a half probably. So I know that there's a lot of these that we did the transfer, and there just hasn't been any activity on them.
I think for those of us who've been on the commission for a while, we're all used to tracking the properties and kind of keeping track of what's there and the flow of them, but again, the written information is very helpful to that, to be able to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, following up on that, is there someplace on the website where we can get more specifics?
Well, this outline that I did is not on the website, so I will
Yeah.
tomorrow. I will send that to you. That shows basically
Addresses?
what it shows the addresses. It shows, like again, it's in an outline form, but I will certainly send that. And it will have the addresses listed on here for you.
Okay. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to ask about, you mentioned something about housing involving or for veterans, one of them. Could you elaborate on the housing for veterans? how that
Sure,
works?
that's with the Kerr development.
Yeah.
Like I said, Brinshore's been applying to IDA for the last 5 years for low-income housing tax credits. And they met with IDA staff saying, we've applied, we have this, really great, this development that we want to do, what can we do to help move this forward? And IDA stated that veterans housing is needed. And so they came back to the city with to the planning department division with resubmitting plans, adding the veterans housing. I think it's townhouses, I believe. I don't recall what the plan looks like. So yeah, there will be some part that's single family, and there will be for veterans. And the housing authority, when we realized when IDA said that veterans housing is really needed, then we started looking at where or what agency or who could we look at to get involved to help with that veterans housing. And the housing authority has they have a contract with HUD, what they call HUD VASH, which is veterans, their vouchers specifically for veterans. And so the housing authority was willing and excited to come on board as a partner and bring those vouchers to this project.
So a veteran would need to go to housing authority to get a voucher?
Well,
Is that how it works, or?
I think they might be project-based versus like a portable tenant-based voucher. I think it's to the project itself. So there'll be
Okay.
certain dedicated units that will be for veterans. So,
Okay.
of course, we're in the beginning stages. They just got the approval. I'm not sure when groundbreaking will occur. So,
Yeah, I know they have that in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
and one good thing is that Kerr Avenue is kind of catty-corner from Crystal View Townhomes. So a lot of the amenities, the community room they have there will be able to be accessed by the Kerr development, the tenants there, since it's Brinshore that also runs Crystal View Townhomes.
Will they be doing the managing, Brinshore?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, so in that way, I think helps bring the cost down because of already being connected to some of the amenities there, and
Okay.
their manager there. So,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. You got more for us?
Yes, I was going to have Matt talk about some of the things under the Community Development Block Grant.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try to go through the CDBG activities that we've been undertaking recently. Start off with the rehab programs. I'll just go through a summary of those and just quickly say how many of each that we've actually done. The three rehab programs that we have are the emergency grant, the access grant, and the senior repair grant. Starting with the emergency grant, that allows the city to offer up to $8,000 to a household who can then use that money to make repairs to some aspect of the home that might be posing some kind of a life-threatening or a hazardous condition, like a furnace being out or sewer being clogged, something along those lines. And we've done 2 of those emergency grant projects in the past year, and we currently have 2 more applications that are currently being reviewed. And for all of these rehabilitation grants, we accept applications year-round. So any of them that come in, we can just take a look at them and then assess them. Randy will primarily assess them as they come in. Our next grant program is, or rehab program is the Access Grant, which also allows the city to offer up to $8,000 to a household, primarily for mobility-based improvements to households. It allows individuals with disabilities to apply for some of these improvements, which could be a ramp, a door widening, renovation of kitchens or bathrooms that can allow people just to have more mobility around their homes. And we've completed 4 Access Grant projects during the past year, and we currently have 2 more Access Grant applications. So that is also in progress. It's we're active with that program, certainly. And the final grant program is the Senior Repair Program, and that allows the city to offer up to $1,000 to households with seniors to help them just to make basic household repairs. It could be something that would allow the household to conserve resources, something like repairing a leaky faucet, or it could also be just improving the safety standards of the home, putting in smoke detectors, making other repairs similar to that. Last fiscal year, we completed 14 of those projects, and we currently have 6 more projects that we're evaluating right now. With CDBG property acquisition, same type of activity, but just using CDBG instead of home. We currently have 2 acquired parcels in the city's possession, and they'll eventually be transferred to one of the CHODOs, Habitat or Homestead, for a project once we have that finalized. And we also have several larger parcels that could also be used for affordable housing. And the property acquisition funds primarily just allow us to acquire select properties in targeted neighborhoods, and by doing that, we would be helping to reduce blight in the neighborhood and helping to maintain property values. That's the primary goal of that activity. And last fiscal year, we did transfer 3 parcels to Habitat, and on 2 of those, Habitat was able to establish single-family homes. And one of the other activities that we can do with Community Development Block Grant is public service. It's we aren't allowed to use, or we are only allowed to use a certain portion of our CDBG allocation for public service, but it does go to neighborhood cleanup, and we had our neighborhood cleanup last weekend, and it was a success. We had a total of 42 seniors request pickup of garbage or other junk waste at their homes, and the hauler that we had contracted with was able to pick up that waste and dispose of it. And we also had 183 properties attend the cleanups at the 2 locations that we typically hold them at, and we were able to collect up to a little over 23 tons of junk at those cleanups. So that was definitely a success. We also use CDBG public service funds for providing to public service agencies. Courage Connection is one of those, and Community Elements is another. And with the 2 programs that we provided funds for, helped a little over 200 people between the 2 agencies. And finally, we also use CDBG funds for public infrastructure activities, and the Lenore Adams multi-use path is something that has been the city's worked on for a while. It was completed towards the beginning of last fiscal year, and now we're looking to save CDBG funds for projects like Highland Green and other major affordable housing efforts going forward. We also administer the Supportive Housing Program, which is another totally different grant that we've applied for and sub-grant out, in this case to Courage Connection. And they offer 2 programs using those supportive housing funds, the Evans Forbes Homeless Assistance Program and their Domestic Violence Services Program. And Evans Forbes was able to serve 73 individuals, and the Domestic Violence Services Program served 36. We also administer the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and during this past fiscal year, it went to, funding went to the Salvation Army, Community Elements, and Crisis Nursery. And between those 3 agencies, we were able to serve over 750 individuals with programs that we helped to fund with Emergency Solutions grant funding. And again, I understand that was a lot of information, but are there any questions off the bat?
I have one question. With the funding that goes to community, no, not to community elements, and now I'm getting my names messed up, but that funds the domestic violence program. You
Courage.
said 36 individuals,
Yes.
and so that doesn't mean families. I mean, does that just mean the target person?
That's
or?
Total individuals. There are 17 adults and 19 children.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
A question on the housing emergency grants and access grants. Are they income-based, or how do they help people? What are the things? Are they based on how much somebody make to be able to apply for them, or is it open to anybody in the targeted area in Urbana?
It is targeted to, well, some of them are citywide and some are targeted neighborhoods, and each one of them has a different income requirement.
And that one go to the senior grants too, or is that different?
Yeah, I did not bring the rehab manual with me, but that states, the senior repair program, they serve different populations as well. The access grant is more for persons with disabilities, and the senior repair, and the emergency, so they serve different ages, and they have different focuses on those grants, and so, there is different income. I can get that for you, I just don't have that offhand.
And I just wonder, how do they target like seniors? Because I know a lot of senior areas where I talk to people and some of them never even heard of these programs, or they need to get the information to them. I mean,
Okay.
like they targeting senior meetings or like stuff like that.
Yeah, Randy attends the Senior Task Force, which is agencies who serve seniors. Also through our newsletters, we have let neighborhoods know. I'm not sure if it's on our city website, but we do try to get the word out. And then a lot of, we have repeat customers, and they also let others in the neighborhood know as well. So by word of mouth, but we do through agencies and letters to the neighborhood too.
I was wondering, what about the library? Is that information available through the libraries?
I'm not sure if we have anything posted there or not, but that is certainly someplace that we could post a flyer about our programs. That is a good point. If we don't, we can certainly look at that and,
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Got more?
That's pretty much
Yep.
what we have.
Okay. Okay, the Attorney General grant, I'm not real clear on that.
Okay, well, I'll quickly read what the letter that we'd received from Lisa Madigan, the Attorney General. We were awarded $2 million from the National Foreclosure Settlement. Let's see. Okay. So, back in December of 2012, there was a notice from the Attorney General that they were committing $70 million to help Illinois homeowners and communities hit by foreclosure crisis. So this national foreclosure settlement, it stemmed from her role in securing a $25 billion national settlement with the 5 largest banks, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citibank, and Ally Bank. The settlement addressed allegations of widespread robo-signing of foreclosure documents and other fraudulent practices. So, while servicing loans of struggling homeowners. So, our Attorney General then was part of this larger lawsuit, and so Illinois was able to get $70 million, and so then she had an RFP or RFQ seeking proposals to fund housing counseling services and to fund redevelopment initiatives for neighborhoods. And so Habitat for Humanity formed a committee with the City of Champaign, City of Urbana, U of I, Novadet Housing Counseling, and a couple of banks, Busey Bank and Hickory Point, to apply for money for this to bring into the community. And like I said, they were the lead and submitted an application, and we originally had asked for $3 million, but were awarded $2 million. And the area is on the north side of the city, so areas of impact were determined to be Mattis Avenue in Champaign to Broadway Avenue on the east, University Avenue on the south, and then portions of Olympia Drive and Fort Harris on the north. So that is the target area of impact. They said that it's roughly about 9,000 units in that area. With that money, they can Habitat can purchase lots on their own, housing to redevelop, demolish. So, in addition to home money, they also have this money that they can use as well. So a lot of the funding impacts in that area. So
Will that include Bristol Park?
it's
It's in the area.
It might be. I think that it does. But I think also the housing authority is involved with Champaign in the redevelopment of Bristol as well. I think that Champaign looks more at like Garden Hills area as well, in addition to Bristol and maybe a few other parts. So that's the Attorney General grant.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, following up on Chris's point about the function of the commission, I believe this has been discussed in the past, and I think there is a written document that says what the function of the commission is. And I was wondering, and I think legal probably has it, otherwise I have to dig through some years of papers. Is it possible to ask legal to dig that up?
Sure. Are you talking about like bylaws?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
function of the commission. Mhm.
Okay.
Isn't that on the
So-
website, too? I think that if you look on the City of
Maybe.
Urbana website and you look under
Mhm.
each of the commissions,
I
the
think so.
charge is there, but it's probably an abbreviated charge, and what you
Mhm.
talked about, I remember us
Yeah, no, we
going
had a
through the
paper.
bylaws and
Yeah.
really trying to get some operating principles that we would
Mhm.
abide by. So that
Okay.
might be nice to review.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
Certainly, I can get those, and I will send you, look for some for
Mhm.
email tomorrow with send the flow chart. I will send our outline and with the addresses. Please review, and if you see any questions, you can certainly email, and we
Mhm.
will address those. And I also send the bylaws as well.
okay. All right, anything else under updates? If not,
No, I know I had mentioned that we are down a staff person, so we are still working on finding a person to fill that role. We did a kind of revamping of our division. Instead of following along the grant lines, it's more of programming, which is what Matt is doing, and then we'll have a financial person to help with
okay.
financial, and that's what we're working to try to hire. And so hopefully soon we will have a staff person, so.
Okay. In the meantime, the money for that position is just piling up, right?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on the agenda, we study session. We have nothing to study tonight, so next is adjournment.
So,
Is
Fred,
there anything else?
I say before we adjourn, I think we should have an official congratulations to Kelly on her passing her exam and having her new designation.
I agree. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Right.
3 years of work for that.
It took me 5, though.
Okay.
I'd started, I think, 2010 and 2011, and then I was going to go the next year, and then I think HUD came to monitor, and so I couldn't go. And then this past spring, I'm like, I'm all about starting something. I need to finish it, and so I'm like, I'll finish it, and then John from said, it'll be your 3rd year. You should consider taking the exam. And I'm like, okay. But I was very nervous because I was wondering what kind of exam, because essays are not my favorite, or true and false, and it ended up being multiple choice, 80 questions. And so you had 2 parts, First part was, most of the questions, it was pretty much what is community development, economic development, all that. And then the second part were 3 case studies, and you had to apply all that you've learned in how to address the problems. And I walked out believing wholeheartedly that I had not passed the case study section because it was limited, because you could only pass, you could only get so many wrong. But I received a letter within the last month or so saying congratulations, and has my certificate up on the wall. So, so yes, it's exciting. I don't know what we'll do with it, but at least I have.
Well, it means you take on more responsibilities.
Right. That's sure. Right. Yeah. That too.
Okay. I
So-
got one last question. The Silver Vaulter area study, is that finished, or is anything else going to happen with that?
I don't know since Maximilian has graduated. I'm not sure where that's at, but since that's not specifically in our division, but I can certainly check with planning and find out if there was going to be any follow-up with that, and certainly let you know.
Okay. Okay, anything else from the commissioners? If not, meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.